Revenge films.
Following my husband's belief that the more money, the merrier, we both had a full-time job. Although we both worked full-time, my husband never did any housework, so I had to wake up early to prepare breakfast and make our lunch boxes. I would wash the dishes, do the laundry, go to work, and after I came home, I would have to clean and cook dinner. I take the laundry inside, fold them, and clean up, so I had no time to relax until late in the night. My husband did nothing to help me, and at home he would surf the net, play games, and do whatever he wants. One day I couldn't stop throwing up during lunch break at work. I locked myself in the bathroom and threw up endlessly. I was in a very bad condition, so when I texted my husband telling him to buy dinner tonight because I was too sick to cook for him, he instantly replied saying he can't because he has to work until late. He told me that I didn't have to cook, but I had to buy him dinner. I texted him that I was too nauseous to go shopping, but he never replied no matter how long I waited. At the end, I threw up as much as I could until my stomach was empty and left work early holding my nausea in. After I got home, I called the packed meal shop nearby. And when I was ordering a serving of a packaged lunch, I started feeling nauseous again, so after I drank some water, I threw up into the toilet again. No matter how much I threw up, I wasn't feeling better. So I was going back and forth from the toilet to the living room, and I spent about 3 hours in the bathroom. I lost consciousness for a while in the bathroom, and by the time I woke up, it was already 7:30. And I was more than an hour late for my packed meal order. I wore 2 face masks, and with a sick bag, I headed to the packed meal shop that was usually a 5-minute walk from my house, but it took me 20 minutes to get there because of my slow movement. On my way home, I met my husband, who was going home with his colleague living at the employee dorm. His colleague said,
"Huh? You're eating packed meals tonight?"
but I thought I might throw up if I opened my mouth to speak, so I had no other choice but to stay silent. Then he said,
"So cold."
Then he said goodbye to my husband and headed home, my husband said, looking frustrated.
"Can't you at least greet him, you lazy woman? Is that my dinner?"
He then snatched the packed meal from my hand and headed home without waiting for me. I wondered why he never asked me if I was okay and acted very rudely towards me instead, which made me feel horrible and wanted to cry. After that, when I arrived home, I couldn't hold it in any longer, and I rushed to the toilet from the door and locked myself inside. I was feeling horrible, and I cried as I threw up. Outside the door, my husband was eating his packed meal, mumbling some complaints. After a while, I could hear him laughing as he watched TV. All this time, I was feeling awful, and I couldn't even stand up inside the bathroom. There was nothing else in my stomach to throw up, but I was still feeling nauseous, and that made me feel even more horrible. When I realized, it looked like I had passed out in the bathroom and woke up after I heard someone banging on the door in a woman's voice. When I opened the door, I found my husband and my mother-in-law standing there. My husband said as he saw me,
"Here she is. She's just sulking like a little kiddo because I complained about a small thing."
He spat at me, but my mother-in-law went pale as she saw me and shouted, "Hurry and call the ambulance!" She left my confused husband with question marks above his head and called the ambulance for me. I was on the verge of losing consciousness while I waited for the ambulance lying down.
"Wasn't she just taking a nap in the bathroom because she was sulking and locked herself in there?"
How could someone be so pale?
It's normal."
You stupid son! I heard the conversation between my husband and my mother-in-law. I heard about this later, but when I was taken to the hospital with an ambulance, my face was worse than pale. I was deathly pale. The cause was overwork and acute gastroenteritis, but because it was summertime, I was about to die from dehydration. I later realized that I hadn't drunk any water because I was too busy throwing up. And the doctor told us that I might have been dead in the bathroom if my mother-in-law wasn't there with me, so I felt really scared. The reason why she was visiting us was because my husband asked for her help after failing to have me unlock the bathroom door. And the reason was not because he was worried about me, but rather,
"She's sulking and not coming out of the bathroom after I made a small complaint. I can't use the bathroom. Can you do something about her?"
She's not coming out even when you call her? Your wife? Is she dead inside? That's what she thought and hurried to our house. After I got an IV drip and a checkup, the doctor found a problem in my organs and I had to be hospitalized for 2 months. 2 months later, my health still wasn't recovering, so I moved to another hospital and got hospitalized for another 2 months. When I went home temporarily, I could smell the drains from the sink. Little flies were everywhere and the trash was full. Once I saw that, I lost all my motivation and I went back to the hospital after getting my things. But a few days later, my husband told me,
"Why didn't you clean the house when you went home the other day? The trash is full."
He was mad at me and brought me divorce papers. Does this guy expect me to clean the house while I'm being hospitalized in the long term? Although I never spend my time at home now, I was getting furious. And as my husband waved the divorce papers in front of me, he said with an evil grin,
"You don't make any money, so I let you look after me. But are you sure you want a divorce?"
He left the divorce papers in the room and left as he said,
"You better think about it and reflect on your actions."
I had my insurance and there would be no negative effects on me from getting a divorce, so I quickly signed the divorce papers and waited for him to come collect it. Then my mother-in-law visited with my husband with a stack of money. When I was wondering what was going on, she snatched the stack of money from my husband, who was struggling with it, and said to me, "Please accept this. I'm sorry to cause you trouble until now." She started to apologize with tears in her eyes. According to what she said, my stupid husband complained to her that I didn't clean up the house enough, although I came home temporarily. After hearing him complain, she got furious that my husband was trying to make his hospitalized wife do housework during her temporary visit. When she decided to visit our house, she got even more furious seeing the absolutely horrendous room. And the last straw was when my stupid husband told her that he brought me the divorce papers saying he didn't want a wife like me. My mother-in-law's anger burst, and here we are now. I had nothing against my mother-in-law, but I thought it was impossible for me to live with my husband as a married couple any longer. So I gave him the divorce papers, which I quickly signed the other day. Here, there you go. It looks like my husband never thought I would sign it, so he opened his eyes wide and said something stupid.
"Huh? Why did you sign it?"
So my mother-in-law scolded him. "It's because you brought her the papers. You deserve it." I bet she already knew that I'd given up on my husband as soon as she entered this room. I think she still chose to apologize despite that. My husband was the only one who had no idea. I guess he thought that if he threatened me with the divorce papers, I would panic and apologize to him, never daring to go against him and would obey him like a puppet. Of course not. As soon as my husband found out that I was serious, he said, "Can you think it over?" So my mother-in-law slapped both of his cheeks. And as she punched him, he also signed the papers right there. My mother-in-law responsibly turned the papers in for us the next day. She would apologize to me until the last moment. She was my only regret because she was a really nice person. Like this, I successfully got a divorce while I was hospitalized, but my husband would still text me whenever his mother wasn't looking, so I still felt horrible for a while. I had no idea what's going on in his mind. I was crazy back then because I felt lonely without you. Let's take our time and grow our love again. He would text me like that, so I blocked his contacts. Shortly after that, my mother-in-law sent my things back to my parents' house, but according to what I heard, my husband got kicked out from our mansion. The reason was that our room was in a horrible state, and because he never cleaned the house, the neighbors complained about the strong smell and that there were bugs everywhere, so the manager had no choice but to go check. Then, as soon as he saw the room, he was instantly kicked out and was demanded to pay a great amount for the cleaning and disinfecting process of the room. Moreover, the rumor of what he did to me somehow spread to his office, and now he is isolated at his workplace. He deserves it.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.